Hello, Klas, and thank you for taking the time and being here with me today.
Hi, Alex.
This morning we published the year-end report 2022 for Axfoods. So with that, I would just love to hear your thoughts. How would you sum up the quarter and the year that has passed?
First of all, I think we need to bear in mind that it's been an exceptional year. Also ended up in 2022 in the last quarter on the same pressure that we had in terms of food inflation. We have seen food inflation that we have not seen in many years or decades. And obviously this has put some pressure on the households and also created some new behaviors, particularly for the customers. And in that environment, I think that we have navigated the situation very well. We are growing double the pace of the rest of the market, and Willys is tripling the pace versus the rest of the market. So obviously it's good evidence that what we are doing right now is appreciated from our customers. Then in addition, I want to also just sum up the quarter and the year. It's been a year as well with a lot of activities and investments for the future. We are continuing to investing in our logistical platform. We have finalized the transformation what we've done with Bergendorf and the integration with the City Gross stores, as well as we have set up a completely new fruit and vegetable warehouse. So a lot of things going on.
Okay, so you mentioned food price inflation, which is obviously still very high. How has that continued to impact the market dynamics during the quarter? And also on that, what do you think about the food price inflation if we look forward?
We have seen, I think, somewhat drastic changes in the market at this stage. As of course, everyone, it's not only food prices that has gone up, it's a lot of things that has increased in pricing and that is affecting the household. So what we've seen there is more of a trend towards price value. More and more important, the consumers is also looking into different alternatives in terms of products. So it has had a fairly large impact, I would say, in terms of the consumer behavior. In that perspective, obviously we are well positioned with our low price brand, particularly Willys. But also Hemköp is doing, I think, a good job in this quarter where we are growing faster, somewhat faster than the market, and continue to develop Hemköp. So it's not only about Willys, but Willys is a major part in this. Coming back then to inflation, we've seen a constant pressure from our suppliers during the year, based on obviously a lot of things that are going on in raw materials, in costs, in energy costs, etc., that had put food pricing up. Unfortunately, we don't see an end of it in the beginning, at least, of this year, that we still see some price pressure from our suppliers. My hope, at least, is that we start to see raw materials, at least in some areas, is flattening out or even going down. Hopefully, if we get more stabilized energy and fuel pricing, we'll start to see also the inflation pressure also come to more normal levels.
Okay. So you mentioned Willys and you also mentioned Hemköp a little bit, but if we take a step back and if you just talk a little bit about the performance of the segments of Axfood during the quarter, how would you summarize it?
Of course, I can start again with Willys. Willys have made a very strong year and particularly a very strong fourth quarter. It goes back years where we have had a very nice development in Willys. It's a long journey where we are continuing to developing our stores. We are modernizing our stores. We are adding more features into it. We also have a very strong e-com. So Willys is doing a really good job in that area. I also would like to mention Eurocash, that is part of the Willys segment. It's our cross-border retail chain that was basically closed. We didn't close it, but the border was closed, so we had some really negative effect when we had the pandemic. Now the border is open and we are fully up to speed, which we are really pleased about to see the Eurocash performance at this stage. But also there's a difference between the quarters. So in quarter 4 it has a less impact versus what it had in quarter 3, as we had actually the stores more open in quarter 4 last year when we had less restrictions, and it's also a seasonality effect. But overall very good performance also for Eurocash. Hemköp, as I mentioned, is also doing, you know, in their segment of the traditional segment, they are also showing good performance. They are gaining, you know, in market shares in that segment. They're actually even growing somewhat faster than the total market in the last quarter, which of course is positive. And it's a result also. We're modernizing, putting a lot of efforts in meeting the customers that Hemköp is attracting. And then moving on to Snabbgross, our cash and carry business for cafe and restaurants. Obviously, we've seen now a shift from the pandemic where we had the restrictions. Now it's a return back to cafe and restaurant market that has been beneficial for Snabbgross. But I also think that Snabbgross is also adding, they have added more stores. We've have added also Snabbgross Club, the membership program also for consumers. We've added 2 more stores in the quarter related to that. So Snabbgross is also showing and reporting today very good growth numbers. Finally, Dagab, our supply company, is also making a good performance in terms of they are of course enjoying the growth from the retailer side. But we're also making a lot of efforts in Dagab at this stage. We are developing a modern logistical center. We're taking steps in that. I'm sure we'll come back to that a little bit later on. But we're also growing together with our external customers as well. So also Dagab is having a nice growth in this quarter.
And I think that's a good way into my next question actually when you finish about Dagab, because there are a lot of big projects that are ongoing within Axfood that obviously there's a lot of focus on in addition to the operating performance.
Yeah.
So if you can just talk about, you know, what do you want to highlight in terms of progress in terms of these large scale projects?
I think it's and I think I touched on it, but it's worth to at least lift up 3 areas that are really strong progress in the year and in the quarter particularly. First, I start with the completely new, fully automated logistical center that we're building in Bålsta. It's one of a kind, where we are automizing the picking to the stores, but also to e-com. So it's a true omni-channel structure, and it's made in 3 temperature zones: dry, chilled, and freezed. This will create a lot of efficiencies for us as we move on and go forward. And in the quarter, we started with the inbound deliveries, so we started to fill up the warehouse. And now in the coming weeks, we're going to start to ship up the first pallets to our stores in the dry segment. So, but I have to say, we are making this in a very controlled way. It's going to be a year of transition as we are closing down 6 other warehouses. So we're going to take this gradually to make sure we make this in a controlled way, which also includes some extra costs that we have highlighted in this quarter. The other part that I think is worth mentioning is obviously that we have now transformed our fruit and vegetable warehouse from Helsingborg into Landskrona. That's made, that is done. We now have a larger warehouse that will serve us well in terms of the volume growth that we are now seeing. And we're also going to automate that during this year. So it's going to be a semi-automized warehouse that we all look forward to. But the first step, the important part, is now we are now in a better facility. The thirdly, that has been very much focused on in 2022 was obviously our acquisition that we made with Bergendorf Food. So the warehouse is now converted from Bergendorf Food into our own systems. We made that in April. And during the year, we have converted the IT platform, the IT system, into City Gross stores. So 42 stores is now converted. So we can now tick off the integration part of that part of our business, and we now look forward with our systems and with our logistical platform to support City Gross further on their journey going forward.
You also issued the investment guidance for 2023 today in the report, and I guess you talked about that we continue to invest a lot in automation, for example, in our new logistics center in Bålsta and also at Landskrona. So I guess that's a big part of the investments that we're making in 2023. But what else are we investing in addition?
No, you're right. The guidance what we gave out today is between 1.8 and 1.9 billion Swedish krona, which is significantly lower versus the last 2 years. That has been really investment years for Axfood. Around 500-600 million Swedish kronor is related to what you're referring to the automation projects that we're doing in Bålsta and also Landskrona. But then also we are adding 10 to 15 more stores into our network this year. It is the highest brackets we have ever had in Axfood. So we are fully up in terms of driving more store expansion. That will also be part of that capex cost. Then we are growing, and we will also have some normal capex investment in the normal business. But these are the 2-3 things that is important at this stage.
And then lastly, I mean, sustainability, obviously very important for Axfood. Axfood want to take the lead in promoting a sustainable food system. What do you want to highlight in terms of sustainability progress during last year and maybe especially in the fourth quarter?
I think two ways. One on the more maybe positive side. We think this is extremely important to drive the sustainability agenda. We have a clear vision in terms of taking a leading role in sustainable good and food. Now, from our part, we continue to invest a lot in what we can do, what we can influence in terms of energy saving activities. We are putting up solar panels on our warehouses and on our stores. We are working on the transportation side, where we have actually put in operation first electrical full truck. And in many more ways where we can see we can influence and save energy, etc., and so forth. On the more negative side, one of the more important parts for us is to drive sustainability labeled products through our stores and to the consumers. Unfortunately, we see that the share of sales in that part is going down in this quarter. I think it's a clear consequence of that consumers are now more price value driven, and unfortunately a lot of these products are more expensive to produce, and hence they're also somewhat higher priced in the stores. So we hope that what we can do is to continue to drive it, but we also added proposals to look into for example, the tax on sustainably labeled products. If we can reduce or take away the tax, it will support the consumers in this time, but it will also be good for health and for the environment. So we think it's a win-win-win. But that is kind of one of the focus areas where we're really putting efforts on it right now.
Okay. Thank you very much for taking the time, Klas.
Thank you.